mean, but that's kind of how it's been for a long time in terms of like cutting back. So think about jazz, right? It used to be the big bands back in the 30s and 40s, right? Well, then World War II happened, and they just didn't have money to feed 20 some people in a big band, right? So that's why combos became really popular because there's like fewer people, and instead of 20 people, you're paying 6 people or less.
Right.
So fewer mouths to feed. And, orchestras are harder to find in schools and stuff too, because again, it's expensive. They have to have like private lessons to know how to play a string instrument really well. And
yeah, that's why
it just sucks because I get the budget thing, but we're giving up so much because of it. It's hard to get it back in music. When something goes away, particularly in academia, it like never comes back.
It's so sad to me because music brings so much joy to so many people.
Yeah, that's why Wu-Tang is so insane. They had 8 people on the, what are they called? The performer, the lawyer, all of the papers and everything. That had 8 performers, not just one, not just 2.
Right.
It was all of them on the same thing.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's so revolutionary.
Right. So, with budgets in mind, you just like it's killing music and it really sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that is though is it probably cuts out, the people who aren't trying as hard, and the people who are still good are going to get work, man. That's just it always is that way. Yeah. Like if you're the cream of the crop, you're going to get harvested.
Yeah.
Well,
I like to think that,
But it's whether you said it to me best. The best ability in music is availability.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. Always. I don't care how good you are of a musician, because there's plenty of them. But the person who shows up every time and is reliable, that's the person I'm going to like hire if I'm running a band or something.
Oh, totally.
If you're auditioning, I've auditioned big bands, I've auditioned students in ensembles. I always take that into consideration, like big time.
Yeah, like who's helping pack up at the end.
Who do I know? I know this person's personality. I know that they're reliable. I'm going to give them at least like a leg up.
Yeah.
Totally. It's not nepotism. Correct. It's knowing that their character, and I know that there's the whole, you should be objective with just their performance. Well, if they're not there to perform, then or if they're like a flake, and I'm always getting a sub or something, where so.
Well, you're talking about merit, and merit can't prove itself unless it shows up.
Right. And it takes time to prove merit. Like several rehearsals and performances and things to really know if it's going to work. So,
yeah. What is this? A metaphor for Kyrie Irving or?
Yeah.
But, speaking of news, let's get into it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Casey, what's happening in music today?
Well, we've got a couple things today. I brought this one. It's R. Kelly. He was found guilty recently. Obviously, I think a lot of people are aware of this by now, but he was found guilty on many, many terrible crimes and charges. And, all dealing with underage people in sexual situations, which is just awful.
Ugh.
But for some reason, his sales are not suffering in any way. His sales overall soared 500% since the guilty verdict. And his streams are up 22%. What? Who?
Right. Who is the good question, right? Because who the fuck is doing this? Like, why would you support R. Kelly? Like, here's the thing, okay? I'm going to say it. I like Ignition. Like the remix to Ignition. It's a good song.
Yeah.
But fucking damn it, it is associated with a horrible person.
Yeah.
And it's something maybe we should even talk about, but it's like, can you separate the artist from the art? And is that right? And now the question, maybe a question on top of that is like, does the artist benefit from you still listening to their music?
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time that a terrible person has written amazing music.
Right.
This goes way back in history, so I can name several. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime too. That might be a fun one.
Yeah.
To go over some of that. But yeah, I know that's always so hard when you really like a song and you find out the person who wrote it's a piece of shit. Just an awful human being, a terrible person. So R. Kelly, rot in jail, but I guess collect a lot of these residuals.
Yeah, so if you are listening to R. Kelly's music, you might need to ask yourself the question, is this really worth it? Because if you're supporting him through your streams or buying his music, you're I feel like you are supporting a horrible person. You know what I mean?
It's hard.
You definitely are, man.
That's tricky, man.
So moving forward, let's talk about some good stuff. How about the group Silk Sonic, Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars? Their album, which was expected to come out later this year, maybe like late December or something like that, is now coming out November 12th.
It's self-titled, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
The Silk Sonic. Oh, man.
Great
Christmas
tune.
is coming early this year.
Literally, though.
Because Silk Sonic is coming out in November instead of... man, that's really great, man. It's everything I've heard from it so far is awesome. I love the whole idea of Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak teaming up.
Right.
We need more of that.
Do we know if Dr. Dre is producing it or no?
That I've not heard.
Because Anderson and Dr. Dre are like buddies.
It doesn't sound like a Dre produced thing. The way, like, just from the leave the door open.
It's very Bruno.
It's very Bruno. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound
70s.
like Dre.
That's the thing.
It's heavily
the
thrown
album
back.
cover though. That's 70s too.
Yeah, the whole
everything. The
aesthetic
video.
is
Yeah.
70s.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Bruno has been interested in looking back to the past for inspiration. Like 24 Karat Magic takes all the classic tropes from popular music in the 80s, and now we're going back even further a decade.
Yeah, he's soul searching the 70s. Curtis Mayfield and all this great like funk and R&B and soul of the 70s, and they're nailing it. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Some more good news. Billie Eilish celebrates "No Time to Die," her single, going platinum in the UK because of the Bond movie that came out.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's common while she's a great artist.
Good for her
Anytime you attach your music to a movie, you're adding this whole other demographic of people, and people who maybe never would listen to Billie Eilish take the time of the day. They watch that movie though, and they're like, oh, well, maybe I'll go check her out. You know, then she goes platinum. I mean, that's just. It's a mutually beneficial situation for both the film companies and the music and the artists.
Absolutely. Totally is.
Pretty sweet.
So great stuff today on the news, but now let's take a twist. Let's talk some shitty stuff. Hot garbage. Here we go.
All right. Hot garbage. Hot garbage.
All right, Casey, what do we have for hot garbage today?
So today's a special one that my mother suggested for us to examine. Okay. And so this is a shout out to my mom. And she loves our show, by the way. She just loves listening.
Shout out.
Maybe she just, my little boy's on talking about music. Who knows, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. So this is a song she suggested, and I thought it was a great one. It's called Little Blue Man by Betty Johnson. Let's check it out.
Okay.
One morning when I was out shopping, though you'll find it hard to believe, a little blue man came out of the crowd and timidly tugged at my sleeve.
I love you,
Said the little blue man.
I love you too.
This is a fucking weird song, dude. Like, even for the time, it's weird. You know, apparently Betty Johnson, who's the singer of this song, was in some sort of like religious sing-songy thing, whatever you call it.
It's called gospel.
No, but she was in like a family.
Yeah, it's a gospel
Johnson
choir.
Singers, Johnson Family Singers, and she's considered like American traditional and cabaret, which is kind of vague.
It's white people music.
It's white people, definitely white people music.
Yeah, totally it is.
But
yeah,
it's like I don't really hear country in this song.
No, I don't.
I'd hear it's like this weird polka waltz kind of thing, like but slow. Polka's supposed to be up.
It's polka if it took acid, like literally.
And the subject material is the weirdest part about it, right?
Absolutely.
Like, can you read some lyrics, Jack?
Yeah, I'll read some of the lyrical content here, which is just odd. It's fitting for Halloween season, though. So, for weeks after that, I was haunted, though no one could see him but me. Right by my side was the little blue man wherever I happened to be. One evening in wild desperation, I rushed to a rooftop in town. This is where it gets weird. And over the side pushed the little blue man who sang to me all the way down. I love you, said the little blue man. I love you to bits. I love you. He loved me, he said, the little blue man, and scared me right out of my wits. I whispered, thank goodness that's over. I smiled as I hurried outside, but there on the street stood the little blue man who said with a tear in his eye, I don't love you anymore. What the fuck, dude? Like, it's
This
so
is a bad
strange.
acid trip.
Yeah, literally. It sounds like a bad acid trip.
I mean, it sounds like a drug, like I'm gonna say like, I don't know, late 60s, heavily substance abuse, like kind of
This is what it
folk
sounds
music, but like even weirder.
It's Barney.
Ooh.
It is
That's
kinda-
what it is.
What's the other weird one? The Teletubbies.
Yeah.
Remember that's like
Yeah, but
like-
they didn't get in trouble for being Barney. The guy that played Barney got
Yeah.
in trouble and
Did he?
stuff, didn't he?
I don't know.
I thought he did.
And don't shit on the Teletubbies. I fucking love the Teletubbies, motherfucker. I love the Teletubbies.
So, Mom, thanks for bringing this to us. It's weird.
As fuck.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Very.
That's what I asked you to do. And so she brought us something great. And so, hey, thanks, Mom.
All right, Casey, what do you got for us for That We Adore?
So, as we've all discussed, gentlemen, we are going to do a country themed
Ah!
episode. Well, the thing is, we've been pretty rap heavy the last few weeks, and I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of explore some other genres, and really kind of show our range, if you will. So, we've chosen to do some country music. Now, this is open to any era of country music. So, I've chosen my song, and I've also chosen an honorable mention.
Ooh.
Because I actually like a lot of country music, right? So
No, you don't.
I do. Most things are for me are pre 1990, or like even 1980.
Okay, that I can, yeah.
So I like classic country, really, right? That's my thing. So my honorable mention is, and this is just a great song, and many people who listen may know this. It's called "All My Exes Live in Texas" by George Strait. Okay. I love that song. It's so fun and just hilarious and just fun. And so that's my honorable mention. But the song I've chosen is one that, I grew up with a little bit. So, and this singer, so it's Conway Twitty's "Hello, Darling." Let's take a listen.
Hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be. How's your new love? Are you happy? Hope you're doing fine. Just to know it means so much.
All right, cool song, Casey. So tell us why you picked it.
So I grew up listening to Conway Twitty. I listened to a lot of different country as a kid, just whatever's thrown at me. When you're a kid, music's just kind of playing around you. You just don't even know what it is half the time. I probably didn't even know this was country music as a kid, but I just really liked his voice. I think his storytelling is kind of great, and he's got such a fun. It's not like super complicated songwriting, but I just like the kind of gospel-y, soulful kind of sound that he brings. And I don't know, there's a lot of great Conway Twitty songs out there. So he makes an appearance on a lot of Family Guy episodes too. I don't know if you guys like they if you're I don't know they kind of make fun of him, but not really. They like Stewie or someone on the show says, and here's a clip from Conway Twitty. And they so randomly go to a live concert of him from like the 60s or 70s singing one of his songs. They've done that like a few times. Wow. People who watch Family Guy know exactly what I'm talking about, but
That's awesome.
It's just random,
Yeah.
but I'm always
So
like,
cool.
oh God, I love Conway Twitty. So that's my pick for this weekend, gentlemen. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Jack. What do you got first?
So the song I brought forward this week is called "Fancy" by Reba McEntire. Let's take a listen.
Elsie was talking, asking Mama, what do I do? She said, just be nice to the gentleman, Fancy. They'll be nice to you. She said, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do, but if you won't have what it's up to you, now don't let me down. Now your mama's going to move you uptown.
Okay, Jack. So tell me why you chose this song.
So I have kind of a personal affiliation with this song, I guess, or maybe not personal affiliation is the right way to say it, but basically I've taught this song to a student of mine. And actually, like, upon further listening, because, I was forced to listen to it many times if I was going to make a transcription of it,
Yep.
I actually kind of like it. You know what I mean?
Dude, I totally know what you're saying. I've so many songs that I would never listen to, I taught because the student wanted to learn it. And then all of a sudden I started liking it.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it happens.
Well, especially with me and country, like I am not a country guy by any means.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the instrumentation of a song or maybe the ability of the musician, but I just don't like the genre, generally speaking. Now, this is a little bit older of a take, like how you were talking about. You liked older country. I guess what I like about this song is how it tells a story. Although it's not a personal story about her, I did a little bit of research on that. So But I do like the instrumentation. The synths remind me of the 90s so much.
When synths started to creep into country music,
Yeah.
like, 'cause it was all acoustic for so long. And then in the 90s, they started to get a little creative with it.
Yeah, and this is 1990, so it's like right on that threshold between, and I thought the storytelling was cool. Like I said, I thought the instrumentation was cool. I don't know. I enjoy this song, and I guess
You like her voice?
Yeah, her voice is good too. She's a good singer. That's for sure. She's a good vocalist.
I think she's a solid singer. I think it's good singing. It's good inflections. It's got the twang. It's got all that stuff. It's got all the isms, of country. So
Totally.
it checks all the boxes.
Last thing to add is just I thought compositionally it was cool. Like some of the chord choices they had to give this power to it in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's some surprise chords there that you wouldn't expect. There's that one in that clip that we listened to. You're just like, what? I did not expect it to go there. And it was just for like a split second.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And it kind of brings out this brightness or this hope of here's your one chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I like it.
Awesome. Great. How about you, Justin? Let's move on. What have you brought to us today?
All right. Well, first off, I have some honorable mentions and one new person. What about Lil Nas X, guys? Come on. He made a country song, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's country. Yeah.
All right. Well, going on more of kind of opposite lines. Willie Nelson. I mean, anything that he's done.
Yeah,
I mean, man.
The legend, man.
Yeah, he is absolutely a legend. And talking about legends, the song that I have chose is Seven Bridges Road by the Eagles.
Ooh. Okay. This is good. Let's check this one out first, and then we'll talk about it.
Perfect.
There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees.
All right, let me just start out with this. I have this whole album on vinyl from my father.
And this is the only version of this song. There's no studio recording.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
all it's just a live version. That's
People
it.
yelling in the background, people drunk.
So good, man. So I wanted to ask you, Justin, because I think this is important about this song. The Eagles, just in general.
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly a country song to me.
Very clearly, and it is genre specifically a country song, the specific song.
But the Eagles have so many, like, clearly classic rock songs. Hotel
yeah.
California, Already Gone. There's so many like that. Like,
Right, but like Hotel California is actually like a storytelling thing, like country music actually does.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the same lines of rap music, actually. It's very interesting of this storytelling type stuff.
yeah,
That's
kind of
really
a folk
cool.
aspect to it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I might add a caveat that modern country certainly does not tell more of a story than beer, beer, truck,
Right.
right?
Yeah, right, exactly. But then I ask you this, like, if you take out the lyrics or the vocals of, like, say, Hotel California,
Right.
like, does it sound like a country song to you? Like, that's the question. And probably not to most people.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the Americana aspect. Like, I feel like the Eagles are classic American music.
They're a crossover
Yeah.
band. I see them,
Right.
like, they're hard to label because of that. And I think that's great. I think more bands should do that.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, you've chosen one of my just favorite songs too, man. It's just such a fun song. And, like, it's so pretty. It's so soulful. It's so powerful.
And it's real harmony. It's no auto-tune. It's real harmony. You can actually hear some of the chorusing effect of the vocals because of the different timbres that exist within the Eagles. And it's kind of what gives them their unique sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 7 different singers, correct?
I have to do I have to think about that. I can't remember on that particular recording. Maybe.
Yeah, because I know that multiple people play guitar, multiple people sing on it, and then that's how they get this really harmonically
Rich,
pleasing
and
sound.
yep. Yeah, it's a great one, man. So awesome choices this week, guys. I mean, like, I love country music. I know you guys maybe don't, but I do. I just don't like the modern stuff, but the classic stuff is awesome. So good job.
I can find it more okay for sure. But how about we talk about our community choice now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so the song that we all chose was the song Kiss an Angel Good Morning by Charlie Pride. Let's take a listen.
Whenever I chance to meet
old friends on the street. They wonder how does a man get to be this way. I've always got a smiling face, anytime and any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say.
All right, so that was a pretty cool song. I'm going to throw this to you, Casey, because this was a little bit of your suggestion and we kind of all agreed. So give me some reasons as to why you like this song, like this artist, etc.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest reason, I mean, there's other reasons too. It's a great song, great voice. I like that raspy, gritty voice that he's got. It's just kind of a classic sound. But Charlie Pride is like one of the very, very few African-American men, and just artists in general, I should say, to break into country mainstream.
Yeah, you got like him and Darius Rucker. Darius?
Okay,
yeah.
But Charlie Pride did it many years, like especially like during civil rights, like when it was like, segregation was still a thing. And so it's just amazing how he was able to break in so hard, especially in country music. Let's just face it. There's a lot of its history that's not so great. It's associated with some people that aren't so great.
Well, it's associated with the South.
The good old boys. And
yeah,
sometimes the good old boys aren't so good,
sometimes the good old boys are racist.
You said it, yeah, I'm not going to disagree.
Well, it's absolutely true, yeah.
So, that's just something that's really kind of special about him too. Other than the fact that, take away all that, he's still an incredible artist, like country artist. And he plays the classic stuff that I like. So
ideally, we would not even have to talk about race when it comes to genre. We should just allow people to be able to cross genres without having to think about that. Now, we exist in a world where people are oppressed, but that's besides the point. I feel as though he does a good job of being a country artist. Yeah. And I think that's the number one reason to give him respect. And he's probably influenced many country artists after him.
Oh, totally.
I kind of hear him as almost like an Eaglesy type artist, if that's a fucking word, which it's not.
or Eagles here, you hear some influence there. And I said, we were talking about Randy Travis. He's kind of got a similar voice. It's kind of lower. It's not super like polished sound, And Randy Travis, it's kind of a similar timbre. So
it's cigarette polish.
Yes, there you go. Cigarette grit.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. See, I think the difference between old country and new country is this Americana aspect. Like, I feel like there was much more classic Americana ideals in older country, and then now newer country is far more like,
it's pop with a twang.
Yeah, it really is,
pop
because
music,
it's
the same formula we talk about all the time. How it's using buzzwords, it's trying to find that jingle, and then they just add a little twang to it, and all of a sudden it's country.
Well, thematically as well, because it's beers, girls, trucks, bar culture, 10-gallon hats, NASCAR, etc. You know what I mean?
Right. Whereas back then, they didn't have to sing about that. They were just doing that, and they were singing about life.
Yeah, right.
And like relationships and like real substantive things.
Right. They're telling a story. They're not just using these buzzwords, the Budwords, the Budwise. Yeah, they're not just using these words, just building off of that. They're literally building a story like rap music does, and why I really appreciate rap music. Yeah.
Totally. So it's just, it had more thought behind it in general. And that's why I like the classic stuff pretty much for rock and roll, for a lot of genres, even classic rap,
Right. I usually don't like country music, but this stuff, it tells a story. It's very nice. It's not just beer, drug.
Musicianship's
good.
I mean, come on. Musicians are great on the recording, There's no auto-tune. There's all kinds of like just solid things.
Yeah, they're changing their voice to make it sound good, not changing the auto-tune to make it sound
There you go.
Yeah.
Truthfully, if you search hard enough, you can find good music in any place. And sometimes you can find good music in movies. So how about we talk about that in the aftermath?
Ooh, sounds great.
All right, listeners. So as I said previously, we're going to talk about movie soundtracks in this segment of the aftermath. We could also talk about movie scores, but I thought it would be better to talk about soundtracks first and maybe save scores for a later time. But before we can even talk about that, we got to talk about the difference between a movie score and a movie soundtrack. So, resident Smarty Pants, give us all your knowledge. Fill us in.
I'm the Kanye of the group, right?
Yes.
I'm
The god of everything.
Okay, so I'm the genius golden god Kanye. All right.
Buddha.
No, this is a really fun topic for me. I get to geek out because I actually teach this a lot too, and I don't know. I wrote my dissertation was on this topic. So, but really, you're talking. So we're talking about soundtracks and the difference between a soundtrack and a score. Really quick, a score is music that's been composed for the film, and it's like used as like certain strategic devices to get emotion and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And a soundtrack is typically considered music that was from another source, that the director of the film or the music supervisor decided to license for the movie. So if I took an AC/DC song, I licensed it to put it in my movie, that would be part of the soundtrack, right?
Right.
But there's some gray areas between the two as well. Some situations where original music was written for the movie. Is that a soundtrack because they're songs, or is that part of the score? It's kind of a gray area.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great ones out there when we're talking soundtracks, specifically, the regular model. And so, list a few of my favorites. I'll give you those. I think like some that come to mind, Dirty Dancing is a really great one because it's like all this early 60s kind of doo-wop, R&B, soul music and a little bit of rock and roll. It's great. Frankie Valli and, the Drifters. And then, Forrest Gump, right?
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, the Freebird scene with
Totally.
Jen A.
Yeah, totally. She's like all whacked out on who knows what.
It's heroin.
Yeah, And but I like you take the music out of that scene, and it's like
it's unwatchable.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's really weird.
And it just shows you how powerful music can be in a movie.
It's very powerful.
It's crazy. And so there's so many great ones. Like Oh Brother Where Art Thou was one of my favorites as well. It's got all this great like Americana gospel bluegrass music, and it's super fun. And Alison Krauss is a big part of it. Which someday we're going to talk about Alison Krauss and her amazing contributions to bluegrass. And like Footloose, Ready Player One was a great one recently, fairly recently. School of Rock, all these like have just great soundtracks.
That was so good.
So I could list these forever. I'm just going to pass it off to you, Jack. Give me a couple that you like.
So I guess two that I like are Baby Driver and Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Bohemian Rhapsody is in kind of a gray area because it's a biopic, right?
Yeah.
So it has music that is from Queen, but it's about Queen while they're performing Queen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have trouble with this. Can you explain it to me?
I don't know if you could label it. It's got like a mix of what's called diegetic versus non-diegetic music. So,
which we're gonna need an explanation.
Yeah.
on
Okay.
that.
So yeah, right. Fancy words. So diegetic music is music that the characters on the screen or in the narrative world are aware of. Okay. So like if they're on the screen and they turn on the radio and they're listening to that music, we as the audience, of course, hear it.
Yeah.
But they also are aware of it, right? Whereas non-diegetic music is music that's just like in the background to help increase drama or whatever, right?
And one of the easiest ways to think about that would be like in a fight scene. There's almost always music in a fight scene.
Exactly. So with Bohemian Rhapsody, I really don't know how to label it. Whether it's it's diegetic because they're singing it, they're performing it,
right?
But as for is this a soundtrack or a score? I think it's a soundtrack, but it's like you might as well just go buy a Queen album,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Or like, that's what I don't get. So maybe it's this particular like greatest hits collection is different than some of the others, but
sure. How about we talk about Baby Driver now? Because that's definitely more of a traditional soundtrack. I enjoy Baby Driver mainly just because it's fitting the song choices that they had.
Yeah.
So for example, some of the tracks listed have like names that are associated with the movie. So like, some songs are named like Baby, and then some are named Deborah after the main love interest of Baby Driver, which is this character named Deborah. I just thought it was cool because they made it a cohesive idea, like expressing the character or accenting the character through music.
Yeah. It's one of the best devices films can use is music, to really drive a point home or something like that. So Baby Driver, I teach a class on this. A lot of students pick Baby Driver to review and write about. It's got a lot of great aspects of film music. So those are good choices, man.
And what else do students commonly choose? Like Tarzan, maybe?
Star Wars, but we're talking scores, because usually they're choosing scores. But I've had people choose Forrest Gump before because Forrest Gump is an example where it has both a soundtrack and an incredible score.
Sure.
And I will note that most movies that have soundtracks also often have scores, usually do, right?
Right. Totally.
Forrest Gump's one of those ones where it's like amazing in both areas, right?
Absolutely.
And it was like sort of it received acclaim for both. So yeah, that's one that actually gets picked in my class a lot too. But usually they're choosing movies that are focused more on scores, like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter,
Totally.
the John Williams and Howard Shore things. So Justin, let's hear from you, man. Like, what are a couple movies that you could tell us that have good soundtracks?
So this was the Aftermath was kind of my idea.
It was.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at all of these things, and I talked to my parents, and they're like, "You need to talk about A, Tarzan, B, Spirit."
Phil Collins, and then Spirit's a great one, man.
I mean, come on,
that's a great one.
Yeah, and then Phil Collins with Tarzan. I mean, can you get any better than those drums? In that movie?
Yeah, man, it's so great.
It's just absolutely incredible.
Classic Phil Collins. By the way, Jack, Spirited Away is one that gets picked in my class a lot to write about.
There you go.
Often.
Right. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
That's great.
One that might not be famous, but is amazing because it has AC/DC in the whole entire thing.
That's all you got to do.
Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, right.
Man, that's like a horror movie. Electronics are attacking us movie. That is just great.
You're showing me clips of it, and it's like the toaster was killing people by shocking them or whatever.
Yeah, man, that's great. There's some good ones, and that's funny. The horror movies sometimes have really good soundtracks. The Devil's Rejects, which is a Rob Zombie movie, has all this like 70s kind of pop rock stuff, and
right.
And like Quentin Tarantino movies always have great music as well. But you were going to talk about, what was it, Cruella?
Yes, that is what I'm most excited for because it uses every single form of art in the movie because it uses fashion, it uses like literally artistic creativity, it uses cinema, and it uses music to convey the point of Cruella being this really powerful woman in the arena of fashion in that area of it's the UK and everything. And there's just these couple of scenes where she's completely singing a rock song and it's just like embedded into the movie.
And this is a song from outside of the movie.
It's from the 1960s.
Okay, yeah.
And then it was done for this movie, and then Emma Stone is like acting like she's singing it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely cool because she has her fashion matching up to the music and then the cinema aspects of all the lights and everything.
Right.
It's just all cohesive.
A holistic art piece.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, like when movies remake the original music for the movie, there's a movie called La Bamba. It's about Richie Valens' life, and they totally re-recorded all of his songs with new artists for the movie, just because maybe it was better recordings and stuff. So, but that's interesting too. There's so many weird caveats to this conversation, but I'm really glad you brought this, Jack, because I love geeking out about this stuff, and I will have to cut myself off now. Because I will keep on talking about this
forever.
Hours.
But to be continued, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So this has been the Cheap Shot Music Podcast.
Download or stream this episode wherever you get your podcasts.
Please leave a like and or a comment on our social medias. It's greatly appreciated.
And thank you everyone for listening.